Hi, my name is Adela Sanchez. I did my research on physics and music, and this is for the summer 14-15 physics class. To begin, I researched 3 important factors on physics and how it relates to music. My first one was how different musical instruments produce different types of waves. My second one was how our ears detect different frequencies and certain pitches. And my third one is how music helps us feel and how we feel with the different changes of tones, of tunes and beats and musics and lyrics. To begin here, I have my musical instruments and their waves. These are the string instruments as an example. Here we have guitars, violins, the bass, the cello, the mandarin, and the harp. These are different examples of string instruments. The sound is produced through the vibrating strings that produce the musical notes. The strings can either be plucked, bowed, strummed, or hammered, and the length of these strings determine the pitch. Next is the musical instruments and their waves, specifically with the brass and the woodwinds. Some examples here would be the brass instruments, the trombone, the trumpet, the cornet, the French horn, and some of the wood and family would be the clarinet, the flute, the oboe, the saxophone. These sounds are produced through the vibrating column of the air that produces a musical tone. The length of the resonating air column determines the pitch, and the valves or keys change the length of the air column. The flared end of the tube, which would be either these parts or these parts, as you can see, are the ones that increase the amplitude. Next, we have the percussion instruments, and these are just 3 examples, 3 different types of instruments that I chose. Here we have the cymbals, the washboard, the xylophone, and the chimes. Here in the image. The sound is produced through a tightly stretched membrane that produces the sound vibration. So, for example, the head or the flat part of a drum. The instruments are struck with the hand, hammered, shaken, brushed, or even rubbed. And the size and tightness of the drum's head determines the pitch. A resonating air chamber amplifies the sound, so it makes it larger. Next, we have the frequency changes. Now, this part is where I describe about the pitch and how our ears are able to point out and to depict each different type of pitch. What a pitch does, it describes how low or how high a note sounds, and that is determined by the sound wave frequency. The instruments each have a varying range of pitches that they can create. So as you see here, for example, a singing voice goes through different types of pitches such as soprano, the tenor, the bass. And then the woodwind instruments would have the flute, the oboe, the cor inglés, and the bass flute, and then here, for example, we have the strings which produce lower, which would be the guitar, the violin, the cello, and the piano. Now, in order to do ranges of pitch, or the frequency, we measure them in hertz, as we've studied here in our physics class. These go from 20 hertz to 5,000. And lastly, it's how physics and music are related and how they help us feel. Here I have a feelings chart. Because our ears are able to recognize the different vibrations, the different tones, the different sounds, even the lyrics that all tie in and work together. It allows us to feel specific ways. As to, for example, classical music might help others feel calm and safe and tranquil. And maybe rock helps us have a more upbeating type of rhythm and has us more excited and feel happy or even energized or whatever it may feel. And that depends on everybody. Specifically, we use music to help in the classrooms as well, to help students concentrate and to help them mellow down. So for example, if we want them to take a test and we feel that music might help them, we might put some classical or some soft vocals, even with harp, with string instruments that just kind of mellow out, versus having some heavy beat drums that release very strong tunes and beats and frequencies and pitches. So that would be the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Adela Sanchez. Have a great day.